Now, if you don't know what the Dendera Zodiac is, it is found in the top and on the floor, on the ceiling and the floor of two ancient sites in ancient Kemet, which was actually called Tamara. Now, some believe it's the oldest zodiac in the world, but there are others that say it was actually passed on from the Babylon Sumer area. But the Babylon Sumer zodiacs are kind of like replicas. They're redone. The Dendera is actually the original thing. I think the most they have done is like little restoration work, but it's not like the whole thing has been redone. I believe it's in Abydos, if I'm not mistaken. By the way, this is Chief Iron Bush speaking. Glad tidings. Greetings to all the beloved. This footage is from the good brother Wim. A lot of you guys may know who I'm speaking of. I have shared a lot of his work in the past.
So what is on the Dendera Zodiac? Well, the word itself, it's saying, it are the zodiac signs. How do we have to see this in 3D? What are these figures holding? Is it the dome? Let's fly in the universe and enter the reflecting ball. The universe is the reflection of the bigger Earth. So where exactly are the zodiac signs?
Now, for any noobs that do not know about the bigger Earth, which is basically flat Earth 2.0, probably even beyond that, probably flat Earth 5.0 from my perspective. From my studies and what has been revealed to I, this is the truth, 100%. I've seen enough evidence. I've meditated upon it. I've received confirmation from the Great Spirit. This is absolutely the truth. Now, all we're doing is adding. There's a community of us that are just adding to it. This is one of the smallest movements as far as what you would call truther or consciousness movements. This is one of the smallest, most underground movements in the world. And this is ancient. And this video right here is going to show you some things that will blow your mind. But I have to guide some of the newbies along the way. And I don't say that with any negativity. So the moon is a reflection of the entire solar system to Saturn. Okay? So that's why even the Greeks knew this. Okay? The work of Ptolemy was thrown under, basically buried. They say it was all burned in the Library of Alexandria and was replaced by Copernicus, whom a lot of people say didn't even exist. Okay? Just like, I believe, is it Galileo? So that's when the whole flying ball circus came, when they threw this under the bus, pretty much. So Ptolemy or Ptolemy, however you want to pronounce it, they knew this, and they have hidden secrets even in ancient Greek statues and everything. So the Greek word for heaven is literally Uranus, because they believe that we are on a plane that the furthest that this plane goes is Saturn. That's why Saturn is so revered as the most high, and El Elyon, and all the angels end with El, which means Saturn, which means they're angels of Saturn. Okay? So, and the reason it was called the most high is because, being as though it's the furthest from us, it, on the reflection of the plasma, which you call the waters above, since it's the furthest away, it reflects the highest as far as the planets are concerned. And planets are just the ones that move on a different course than the rotating dome of plasma that has the constellations within it. Okay, and let me just go ahead and let this video ride, and I'll narrate as I see fit.
Is it on the top of the universe or the bottom? In Dendera, the same zodiac is depicted in a rectangle.
Now, I have seen this exact picture in a vision that I was given before I came across any of this information. I literally was given a vision of this. I saw it. And I saw how there's two different sides. There's one, and both sides look exactly like this. And then black holes are almost like televisions. And they're like basically matrices. And it looks exactly like this.
Maybe we have to put an oval into the rectangle. Nut is holding the sky, top and bottom. 12 zodiac signs. On the zodiac sign Taurus, we have this strange bull, the kneeling Mithras bull. Is it showing the bigger Earth with our crater?
Look at that. On the Dendera Zodiac, the only one that is standing out is Taurus, and it has this whitish, grayish ball in its horns, okay? And it shows a location, a dot, all right? And Taurus is your Taurus field. So they're letting you know that your Taurus field, where you're at, is basically right there. That's where they decided to put it. All right. Now, the reflection of the entire solar system that is on the moon, that's the negative reflection. Just like back in the day when you had photographs developed, you would have the negatives. So everything would be backwards, and you would get them developed, and then they would come back positives, and they would have color and everything. That's what the moon reflection is. The positive reflection is in the firmament with the stars and things. So on the moon, Sirius, the star, is represented by a small crater, but in the plasma firmament, the plasma waters, it is represented by the brightest star, Sirius, which Sirius is actually us. It's our crater. That's why it's the brightest. It's where we are at right now. That is the story that was told to the Dogon people thousands and thousands of years ago. And they were told that these beings came from Sirius. But what they were being told was that's where they are. You remember, they had to pass a language barrier and draw it and everything to try to explain it to these native people called the Dogons. So now today they say, you know, these people, these Nomos and these Nagas came out of the water, and they explained to the Dogon tribe that they came from Sirius. But really what they were saying was that this is Sirius. When you look up in the sky and you see Sirius, that is where we're at right now.
Let's put this on a 3D ball and fly inside. So the question might be, is this a depiction of our universe? But what exactly are zodiac signs? Let's take the moon map, make it a bit darker, put this on a 3D ball and fly around. Now my question would be, is there a reason why they call these figures lions, scorpions, and so on? Then I realized it's not just about the stars, it's also about the landscape.
Exactly. That's the moon.
There are a lot of scorpions on the moon. What do you think of this one? Pisces. Now let's say I'm right.
There's the
And
fish.
this is Pisces, and this is Scorpio. What would be the sequence of the zodiac signs? Now, if the Earth was rotating around its axis, it would be simple. It would be a straight line. But the Earth is wobbling.
That is the only movement that the Earth is having. That wobble is called the analemma, and it's exactly like water in the ocean, the tide in, tide out. It's the energy going from one side of the realm to the other, one side of the realm to the other, and that creates a wobble called the analemma. The ancient Egyptians called it the apep and represented it with a snake. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get carried away. I'm going to let the video ride.
Now, in one of my videos, I made a graphic of the analemma. And that brought me to the sine wave. Now, about the same time, I was watching a program on TV, Salvage Hunters Restorers. There was a restoration of this strange object. And one particularly sign caught my eye.
To the modern imagination, the universe can seem like an incomprehensibly vast and complex place. The Earth a mere blip, a cosmic accident. Well, if you find that unsettling, then here's a beautiful and perhaps reassuring alternative. In this object is a very different vision. A vision that extends right back to the 2nd century Alexandrian mathematician Claudius Ptolemy. Here we have, contained within these elegant rings, tidy and symmetrical, the entire universe. Known as an Armillary sphere, this instrument survived right throughout the medieval period into the early modern era, and it came to symbolize that most noble queen of the sciences, astronomy. It wasn't until the middle of the 16th century, with the Polish mathematician Nicholas Copernicus, that this concept was seriously challenged. Held stationary at the center is the Earth, represented by this small brass sphere, and about it rotate a set of rings representing the heavens, the celestial sphere, one complete rotation being a day. The sphere is mounted at the celestial poles, which defines the axis of rotation, and its structure includes an equatorial ring and two smaller rings parallel to the equatorial ring. To the north is the Tropic of Cancer, and to the south, the Tropic of Capricorn.
Now, what does that remind you of biblically? The wheels inside a wheel inside a wheel. Ezekiel's wheel. Okay? This is the true nature of the realm. Alright? They do not want you to know that we live on a bigger earth. It's not outer space and all this and that. Okay? It's all on one place, one world. Now there's different you have every dimension in wherever you're watching this right now. You literally have every dimension in your room, in your car, wherever you're at right now. It's just frequency. Okay? But as far as where we're at and the actual cosmology of the realm, this is the truth. Now you heard what he said. Copernicus, it wasn't until Claudius Copernicus in the 16th century, seems like that's when a lot of things happened. 16th century, when they was getting ready to change the whole Bible again, King James, and change the name to Jesus and put Lucifer in there and this and that. It seemed like a lot of changes was made right around that time period. So this whole flying ball circus thing has literally only been around for about 400, 500 years. Previous to that, for thousands upon thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of years of peoples that had technologies that we still cannot figure out to this day, did not have no spinning balls floating in outer space or anything. All right, people think that like we're getting smarter when actually we took a turn and we got dumber. Is pretty much what happened. But now, because of the age we're entering, it's coming back. The intelligence and the knowledge and wisdom is coming back. And that's what this is all about.
Just touching these two smaller rings is another brass ring which crosses the equatorial ring at the equinoxes, the times of equal hours of day and night. This represents the unique pathway of the sun as it travels through the zodiac on its annual journey.
So that was the summer solstice to the fall equinox to the winter solstice to the spring equinox. Back to the summer solstice.
So what happens when you put a sine wave on the moon map and you put it on a 3D ball? Exactly.
Equator.
Look at the thick line in the middle. So now I'm sure I can find the zodiac signs in a sine wave pattern. The only question I have, is it up or down? Now if I divide this line into 12, it should be simple. So is it any wonder that lots of cultures all have different zodiac signs? So let's give it a try. Don't take this for granted.
Look at that. Look at that.
Take a look at it in a 3D shape.
Found them all on the moon map, in order, in the sine wave pattern.
The green dot is our crater. Let me refresh your minds. You have the Pleiades, Taurus, Orion, and Sirius.
And that's us.
In the middle, you have the Eye of Horus, sitting on an arrow. My interpretation is you are here.
That's right.
On the right, you have Orion.
Mm-hmm.
On the left, you have Sotis. Sotis is holding the 5-pointed star, symbol of Sirius. The reason of this is probably the V-shape of our crater.
Which is 33
Now,
degrees.
Sotis is a bull. A sitting bull. Reminds me of the Indian chief who was prisoned by the Black Cube organization and put in a circus. Now the question is, why did they change the cow goddess into the dog star? So on the ceiling you have the Horus with the arrow, you have Orion, Taurus, and Sirius. Looking for some more information about the Dendera Zodiac, it was stated that this zodiac was a bad copy of the Babylonian zodiac. So I started to look for the Babylonian zodiac. So someone analyzed it and came up with this drawing. You have Horus on an arrow. Then you have the true shepherd of Anu, Orion, Taurus.
Now, again, the true shepherd of Anu. This goes to show even the Sumerian tablets is all the story in the sky. It's the story, and it goes in a spiral the same way that the energy moves. Okay? So Enki, Enlil, Anu, all of that is all, this is the true cosmology. They're trying to tell you where we're from.
And the Pleiades. But strangely, no sign of Sirius. So could this mean that the Babylonians know that the observer and Sirius are exactly the same point?
Exactly.
Now remember in my first videos how I found Orion, Taurus, the Pleiades? Let's situate that on the moon map. Zoom out and take a look at this red circle. Take the Babylonian star map. Behind these figures you see like a circular shape. So you have Orion, Taurus, the Pleiades.
Now I want to add, the ancient Egyptians, the Tamarans, they called Nibiru Aldebaran, which is actually the bullseye. Okay? So everyone that thinks Nibiru is this planet and this and that, and it also meant Neb-Heru, the eye of Horus, the return of the consciousness, okay, of the first eye, of the energy alignment, because it's all about these energy signature alignments, and they reflect off of everything.
Next to this red circle, you have the zodiac sign Pisces. But in Babylon, it's not two Pisces, but one Pisces and a swallow. With some fantasy, you could see a swallow instead of a Pisces. Let's concentrate on this white line. Go to the moon map and zoom out. This rock formation is the structure we observe as the Milky Way.
Now, that's what we observe reflecting in the firmament, when nowadays you can't really see it because of the light pollution and all the pollution and the spraying. But in the times past, you could see the Milky Way in the sky. Now, in the Sumerian tablets, they call this the hammered bracelet. They literally call this the hammered bracelet. It's a mountain range that is so big you cannot even fathom it. Way beyond any mountains that are here in our crater. Way beyond. Like, we don't even have the technology probably to even fly over these mountains. In the Sumerian tablets, it was called the hammered bracelet.
Let's do an experiment with Photoshop. Take this area and enlarge it. These are the planets. Enlarge this area and it are the star systems Orion, Taurus, Pleiades. Now I'll make the first and the second layer. Instead of 100% transparent, I make it 50%. Put these on top of each other, and now I move the top layer. This is the star system Orion, Taurus, Pleiades that is passing every night.
So that's the one layer.
An analemma, in an analemma, in an analemma.
Boom.
Hallelujah.
That's exactly why no one has figured this out yet. That's why when people hear this, the moon is the reflection of the bigger Earth, that don't make sense. I've been on Brother Sanchez podcast, and me and him went back and forth for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. And I got a lot of love for Bro Sanchez. That's my boy, man. We've talked numerous times. It's all love. But he's really big on flat Earth. That's one of his quote things. One of the bigger things he's known for. But when I tried to explain this to him, I don't know if it was just because there was so much going on within that particular show. But he did invite me. He sent me a request right after that to do a show with, I don't know if it was just going to be me and him or me and just a few people. But that particular show had a larger panel. And so, maybe I'll get a chance to speak to him, and he can use his platform, which is quite large, to get this truth out, because this is the truth. And That is what, that's why no one has been able to figure it out yet, because it's three systems inside of each other. And I'm gonna do a whole nother video. I could do it on with this one, but it'll extend it too long. And I'm gonna show you how they use this with their Saturn cube magic, and they put a cube inside a cube inside a cube, and that is how they basically do something in our crater called geomancy. And what they're trying to do is turn our crater into crater Linnae, or what we call Saturn, or what we know as Earth name Atlantis. All right, but we not only have each other, we are in a living being. We're on and in a living being, the mother. Okay, we are this crater is naturally feminine energy. That is the top energy. That is where all life comes from, and they cannot defeat it. They thought they could come here and defeat it with their masculine, you know, just eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, you know, violent bloodshed, blood magic, blood sacrifice. But our crater is our signature here, nature sign is feminine. It's the Phi, as in female, and it is eternal. And they have come to the conclusion that they cannot eradicate us. The only thing they can do is subdue us, exactly how it says in the beginning of the Bible, go subdue the earth and all that's in it. I have a teaching on Facebook called The Splitting of the Atom and the real first 10 commandments that are right in Genesis 1 and 2 that you've never heard before, because you have to break the etymology down. It's the real first 10 commandments, and they are so evil and so nasty and corrupt. When you get a chance, that's a good watch. You should go watch that. It's only on Facebook at the moment. I'm still trying to transfer everything over to YouTube. But Facebook, Iron Bush, and look for the video, Splitting of the Atom and the real first 10 commandments. And that'll explain more to you about these beings that came here. All the stories in the Bible all come from the Sumerian text and Babylonian text and other texts. They just compounded them all together into one God. And these stories come from the Saturnians. The 40 years in the wilderness, they tell you Moses was in that came from these beings. They had a 40-year travel here in the wilderness on the bigger earth, even with their technology on their ark, okay, with highly high technology, and they came here, okay, on their ark. And their ark is still you're told that Noah's ark landed on Mount Ararat. Well, Mount Ararat was later named inside of our crater. Mount Ararat is outside of our crater. Okay, it's outside of our crater. And this ark that they brought here is still, it's like living technology, and it's still in use to this day. And this is pretty much where they're at. That, and you have to go through Antarctica to get there, to access this, okay? And that's why all these reptilian leaders like the Pope, the gray Pope, the white Pope, the black Pope, all of these clearly reptilian bloodline beings, they all make homage, pilgrimages to Antarctica. Why? Because they're going to visit their ancestors, okay? That's what it is.
The movement of the Milky Way. In the center of the Babylonian star map, we have the plowman. Is he at the center of the wobble of the earth? Or is he the one responsible for the wobble of the earth? Also interesting is the Greek zodiac. You have the bull, Orion, the dog star, but at the dog star you have a boat. The dog star and the boat, Argo. Let's take a medieval map. Orion, Sirius the dog star, and Argo. Jason and the Argonauts. The Ark is lying next to our crater,
As I
and it
just
is
said,
changing the crater into Atlantis,
that's their
the
mission.
rings of Saturn, and the box.
That is their goal. And that is also in the Sumerian tablets. About coming here, mining for gold, and this and that. The cube is their technology. Okay? And the cube with their rings, the rings is their natural habitat, where they are originally from. But the cube is their technology. That's why at the end of the Bible, everyone that thinks that, you know, you're a Christian or you're a Hebrew, Israelite, and this and that, I'm sorry to say, you're following these beings. And it's time for you to snap out of the spell. I don't care who you've been listening to, how good of a teacher they seem, how charismatic they are, how well they seem to know their stuff. They are teaching you the Saturnic Atlantean way. You are literally giving your energy to these beings. They talking about Abba and Father and Yahuwah and Yahweh. It all comes from these beings. That is their bloodline. You are literally worshiping them and their sons. If you cannot see it, then eventually, pretty soon, the truth is not going to be in you. You're going to go so far along that, and you're going to pass into the next reality, and you're going to be deceived. It's not like you just die, not D-I-E, D-Y-E, die into the next color spectrum, and you just automatically know the truth, and you automatically in the realm of heaven. You can still get deceived, beloved. That's why what reincarnation cycle is. There's whole groups of people that know, like the Tibetan monks, about that they're reincarnated. They know the cycles, everything. They've accepted it, and they call it ascended masters. Those that find their way out of the cycle. And the Melchizedek, that people seem to think they know what it is, but most of the time it's from the Dwight York, aka Dr. Malachi Z. York, and I hate to say it, garbage, science fiction. Most of the time, anything they know is from him about Melchizedek. Well, Melchizedek originally was just the name for the ascended masters that ascended out of the reincarnation cycle, but they still made the free will decision to stay here and help humanity as a whole try to break this spell, try to break free of this parasitic entity that came here originally from a great flood on the bigger earth for something they brought on. They brought it on from their technology. They are reprobate. They are the Elohim, Annunaki. They are reprobated. There was even a time during what we call Lemuria where we took them in and we tried to show them the way. All right, the feminine way of our Creator, and they played the part. They infiltrated us for tens of thousands of years, and they basically stabbed us in the back. They went and started Atlantis with all the information that they got from us, and they literally did something called geomancy that sent everyone on the continent of Lemuria, sent them into a trance and basically drew them to Atlantis. Okay, and they literally sunk the continent of Lemuria. Like they like literally if you can control the mind of the mother, you can literally basically control them, for the most part, the mind of mankind that's here in the mother. That's what geomancy is, and that's what they're trying to do, and they've done it. That's what the Great Pyramid was about. The Queen's Chamber and the King's Chamber, that is the hypothalamus. That is the pituitary gland and the pineal gland. They did it with the Mayans, with Quetzalcoatl. This is all them. The Aztecs had a god named Yaotl that taught them blood magic, where they sacrificed 80,000 humans non-stop in a row. 80,000 in a row non-stop, and their god's name was Yaotl. It's always a Ya. In Australia, they have a little, they call it mythology, a red devil named Yahweh. Yahweh, they called it. That is blood hungry and does magic and things. It's all across the world, and there's not just one. They have a family. Okay, in the original, there's two different stories. One story said there was 9 of them that came on their ark or their technology. That's called the Ennead. There's another story said there was only 8. That's called the Ogdoad. Okay? And then you have the 7 Elohim. Because they said one was the boatman. That's who you call Anubis. Okay? The jackal. This runs deep, beloved. This runs very deep. And you're not going to get... This, along with maybe 2 other things, is the highest level of truth that is available at this moment in this realm, right here, right now.
If an armillary sphere is giving you a perfect explanation of the universe, why are you at a certain point in time switching to the solar system?
It wasn't until the middle of the 16th century, with the Polish mathematician Nicholas Copernicus, that this concept was seriously challenged.
Reading about this story about Copernicus and the Pope, it struck me like another red pill, blue pill story. The battle between left brain and right brain.
Boom.
Held stationary at the center is the Earth, represented by this small brass sphere.
Religion, the stationary Earth, against science, the heliocentric model. And the solution is when you put the 2 theories together.
Neutral.
And now another example of scientific lunacy.
It does not matter if you are positive or negative. Either way, you are still feeding them. And I've struggled a long time. I know that the Bible scriptures have been all rewritten, but I also know that what the true Christ is real. Okay? But the religion is completely false. They've completely falsified everything. It's all made by the Catholic Church with a lot of help. A lot of help from groups that we call today the Illuminati. All right? But this goes back millennia since these beings got here. Since these Saturnian beings got here. Okay? The only way that they can't siphon off your energy, and when Christ said, I'd rather you be hot or cold, right? And I've struggled with this verse, going back and forth. Now, the only good explanation you can give for that is feminine, masculine. That's the only benevolent explanation you can give for that quote. But other than that, the positive, negative, either way, listen, a battery needs a positive and a negative pole to have a charge. It can't just run off positive. It can't just run off negative. This is what the archons are based off of. This is what the elites are based off of. Why do you think the most evilest people in the world, somebody like George Soros, who is involved with things that I can't even say on here, gives billions of dollars away? They call it philanthropy. Billion, because they believe in the positive, negative that creates the charge. And they say, you're the salt of the earth. Well, Google and look up a 12-volt battery in water and see what the salt is. It's what's in between the positive, negative. That's us. So it isn't better to be positive or negative. It's better to remain neutral. And that is the teachings of the earth, water, air, fire. Okay? When you get to air, once you get to the consciousness of air, then you are neutral. That's when you obtain neutral. Fire is when you can be neutral without being in a deep state of meditation, where you can actually walk around and manifest with that neutrality, with that air consciousness. Okay, that's what the ether, that's fire. And then the top above that, the fifth element, or you would say, is, some say Christ consciousness, others say higher self, oversoul, or simply God.
Ptolemy's system reliably predicted the future behavior of the planets. Another step in man's journey to understand and control the universe.
So look, you see how Ptolemy, who clearly knew about the bigger Earth, he had the planets doing the analemma. They took that and turned it into all these flying balls and everything, and they made this whole thing, taking the truth and distorting it. They know this. They know this, people. There's probably other people that are in other spheres that are living lives similar to us, that think that it's just them on this earth, and they're wondering, is there other life out there and stuff? You're thinking that it's aliens and they gotta be little green men or little gray people and this and that, when really it's just it's hominids. It's people. It's literally people. Now, the further you go in these different craters, they have different energy signatures, because the Saturnians have the 369 energy, and they have elongated skulls and elongated skeletal systems. They say the real Moses, Amenhotep IV, later known as Akhenaten, they say he was 14 foot tall. 14 foot tall. Gilgamesh, they say, was almost 30 feet tall. These are things that we can't fathom, because not only was it wasn't just them, and it was everyone was bigger, because the sun cycle basically makes things get smaller and smaller and smaller until we get to the what's called plasma apocalypse, and then it resets. That's the red Kachina, blue Kachina. But this, whatever wisdom and knowledge that you attain, it's not gonna lose you. It's not gonna leave you unless you fall for the trick and go into that white bug light, where they got their bugs that they call angels with 6 wings covering themselves and this and that and cherubims and all this and that. No, there's no birds, there's no natural animals. As above, so below. The only thing got 6 wings down here is insects, dragonflies and things. Okay? They want a hive mind, an insectoid race. That's their goal. That's what they are. A hive. That's why they got us living in cells now. They even put our light bodies in cells. The atom. Okay? They literally did it to us first. And then now we're living in cells, like in buildings, in these little cubes and like insects. When before it wasn't like that. It was not like that. We were more of a man or human or whatever you want to say when we was living one with nature than we are today in these houses and things. We're living more like insects now.
The Ptolemaic system was extremely complex. It had all these planets going in loops, and it worked beautifully, but it was just wrong. The idea that you can predict something doesn't mean you understand the fundamental principles behind it. The idea that you can predict something doesn't mean you understand the fundamental principles behind it.
Well, and they can't predict nothing on mainstream. Now their priests, their top priests and their top wizards, now they can predict things, because the past is the future and the future is the past. Time is not linear. Time is the analemma. You need to learn what the analemma is. It looks like a bow tie. All right, it has a small loop at the top and a long extended loop at the bottom. Okay, the short season, where 1,000-year reign of Christ, and then the short season where Satan is loosed off his chain. Don't you see? It's the cycle. The red Kachina, blue Kachina. One side where the dark ages, where man is dumb and is going backwards. One side where he's going back to wisdom. But the thing about it is, these beings have us in this loop. Now, it can be good for you if you use it for its purpose, for basically if you transcend it. If you don't transcend it, you're gonna be a battery for them in an infinite realm, not eternal, infinite. They're stuck here. They never can leave. They've been through these cycles so much, that's where they call prophets. The original word for the Hebrew word prophet comes from the Nabi, that was literally one of the Saturnian sons. It was one of their sons. And then our energetic points. So you have 7 seals or 7 chakras. Well, they have energetic signatures that are basically attack these 7 points, these 7 energetic points that you have in your not they're near your physical body and they affect your physical body, but it's a spiritual light. It's a light. Okay, so look at the 7 chakras or 7 wheels or seals as books, and then you have 144 chapters, okay, and then the last book or the very final one, that's called the crown, is times 1,000. That's the same thing with the X chromosome and the Y chromosome. The X chromosome, I forget the exact name of it, but it holds 1,000. It might be genes. 1,000 genes or 1,000. It's a scientific word for it. The Y chromosome holds like 80, 90. So literally, an X chromosome holds 90% more data than a Y chromosome. That's why a man has to have an X and a Y. A woman has 2 X's. And that's why the whole story about Christ consciousness and reaching back to your God mind, your higher self, your oversoul, is through the feminine energy, because that's where you're from. You cannot change that. People thinking they're from the Pleiades and this and that. Well, that just means you came from beyond the ice wall. That doesn't mean you from outer space nowhere. So if you from there, then you should know the truth. You should be able to tell us that, hey, you know, you can get there. It's this way. You should be able to point which way it's at, not up. That's the reflection.
Now this is the Ptolemaic system. Did Ptolemy know that we are on a bigger Earth? And did he know that the sun, moon, and the universe are a reflection of the bigger Earth? It would be interesting to look at the original work of Ptolemy, but lots of these original works have been lost, deliberately or not. But that would be the subject of a whole new video. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and thanks for all your comments. Bye.
This is Chief Iron Bush. That was Brother Wim. He did have a channel called Godgevlamste. He's from Belgium. He has some very good work. I have all his videos and his work saved, and I contact him via email, and we have a little circle, very small circle of people that are working on this together. Like I said, this is one of the smallest circles of you know, mysteries, as far as working on the true mysteries in this realm that I know of. Okay, so this is Chief Iron Bush. I love y'all. Get whoever, if this resonates with you, share it, get it out there. You know, it's not everything, it's not for everybody. All right, you must understand that. Much love, wholeness, and balance to all.